Howdy, folks. So, spent a lot of time today just brainstorming. Not much building, but let's see. I took that 100-watt panel and I was looking at this. Here, let me show you a side view. I'll figure out something to mount it on above my head and over the motor. You know, I don't need to turn the motor handle, so don't freak out on me and start messaging telling me that I'm never going to be able to turn the motor handle. I'm going to steer by the rudders, and the motor's just going to stay straight ahead. Forward or reverse only, and throttle, of course, throttle. But I left the top open so I can adjust the width front and back, and got the length down. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized that that big 100-watt panel fits real nicely over this section. It pretty much covers that whole area behind the back seat to that lip. So if I raise it up some kind of way, kind of gives a shade for whoever's sitting up here, or just don't know if anybody will ever sit up there or not. I might get another dog, I don't know. But just realized this 50-watt panel just fits perfectly up there. So I think what I'm going to do is put the small panel there, and took my lights out because they were in the way of this. And I think I might just go ahead and put them back on the uprights. I might go ahead and put the side lights here and put the white lights up here somewhere. They'll stay drier that way. But that's where I'm at with that. Is I'm thinking that the tarp tent will cover this area for the most part. And then if I drop some kind of rolls of plastic or tarp or canvas or something down the outside of these, maybe bug netting on the inside and canvas on the outside, waterproof all the way around for when it rains. I'll just have to finagle something around the motor. Try to keep as much mosquitoes out as possible. But that's about all I got done today. I didn't have a lot of time to spend on it. Spent most of the day pulling staples and taking this old Velcro off the ends of these. These are bamboo wood slats, so they're a lot stronger than they look. But I'm going to need some cross members here to make this a little more stable before I can tie a backstay to it. I have to brace it off quite a bit. And then once I've fastened the solar panel to it, put some cross bracing, should be pretty stiff. Put a couple more screws in the base here and there, and that should tighten it up quite a bit. And also give me a little more space for my boom to swing. I might just decide to put, I don't know, seat's gonna be right here. But that'll block all the sun coming from behind me. I'm still gonna need some kind of sunshade in front here underneath the boom. But I'll work that out. Some knee ups from here, and have a structure here that I can go off of. I got a feeling a lot of that's going to be built after I find some forest of bamboo or something. I like using bamboo. It's strong, and bamboo grows very quickly. It's literally fast growing. tall grass. And it's almost like the stuff is so invasive. People buy a few shoots of it and plant it in their yard, and next thing you know, it takes over their whole entire yard in a couple of years, and they're begging you to come and take some. So I don't feel at all bad about culling a little bit that's growing wild in a forest or something. And speaking of which, I was watching a show yesterday where a guy, I'm not going to mention his name because I like the guy, but he was making a rail to do his cutting for his food prep and his cooking on. And he cut a bunch of little saplings. And I don't agree with that policy. Like, if you're out in a forest full of woods and there's plenty of dead wood, there's no reason to cut live saplings unless you really need something that's flexible and like you're trying to make a bow or something, or you need to bend it and dry it out to a certain shape or something for some reason. But you're just making upright legs and a bliss rail, just use dead wood. It doesn't have to be super strong. You're not laying on it. It's not a house you're building on. It's just a bliss rail. You can usually find some dead wood to cut. And if you do cut live trees, do what I call culling, okay? You go through the forest and you see 3 trees that are all growing really close together. And you look at them and, okay, they're young trees. And I don't have an example here to go by, but you can look at them and tell that over time they're going to grow into each other and either join each other or they're going to be competing for space and light. So you look at which of the 3 is the best growing, healthiest, and you cut the 2 other competitors out of his way. And they may or may not come back, but at least what you're doing is instead of 3 trees competing for that one spot, you're giving the best tree that already has the best chance, that has the best health, a boost by taking the 2 weeds out from around it that are competing with it. And in the end, you haven't thinned the forest really, because you've actually helped that tree grow taller and faster and get better nutrients, more nutrients, and you haven't taken a tree out from a space that didn't have a tree. See, one of those 3 trees was going to die anyway, just from competing with the other 2. And the third would probably die from some disease because he's not very well nourished. And, you might have all 3 that are struggling and never really grow very tall. And then the other trees around end up crowding them out over time. Within 50 years, he's still a shrub when the other trees are all growing 100 feet tall. So by thinning that area, you give them a big boost. Okay, that's what I mean by culling. If you have to cut live saplings or trees, cull. Look around and take the trees that are not doing so hot in that competition with the other tree right next to it, so that you're more of a friend to the forest than just somebody just coming in and take, me, this is what I need, and not really considering the footprint you're putting on the dirt in the woods. Trees hold the soil together, stop erosion, and filter our air, and without them we all die. So it's kind of important. Someone like me, I used to spend a lot of time out in the forest up in Oregon, and I flew over from Oregon to Florida. It was devastating for me to see how many of the trees they had cut down. And as soon as the plane went, you didn't see it from the highway because they left the trees next to the highway growing. And then just, 50 yards in from the road, they would have just clear cut massive areas. And I'm like, man, when I was a kid, that whole area was all just green forest, just untouched, and just teeming with life and animals everywhere. And it just, yeah. And then when I flew back over another 10 years later, man, what wasn't cut the first time is gone the second time. There's nothing but brown patches out there, the ring of trees next to the highway. So when you find forest that's still preserved, be a custodian of it. Don't just take from it. And that's all I got to say. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to wind down and watch some movies and pass out real soon here. So, Captain Kedger, hope to see you out there on the water real soon. And have a great evening.